Hello everyone, it's your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting live stream. In this video, I'm going to be talking about March 21st, 2019. I don't exactly remember what I dreamed about last night, but I got a text from my mom today, and she wants me to walk her down the aisle for her wedding. She wants to get married sometime at the beginning of next year. I told mom, of course, I would want to walk her down the aisle. I'll just have to get that scheduled with my employer, whoever that may be, and make sure that I'm free during that time. CJ wants me to apply for a job that'll pay a $1,000 like reward and prizes if I binge watch every Marvel movie for 2 days straight. Apparently you apply for the job, and then after you apply, they pick the lucky candidate who they think best fits the job, and then you get paid $1,000 and you're given a bunch of prizes to then watch all of the Marvel movies within like a 2 day span. It's a thing that's going on with cabletv.com. I'll post a link to the job opening in the description box below. You have until April 15th to apply. I'm going to apply. I'm probably not going to win. I think the way they're going to set it up is whoever has the most followers will win. Because I feel like it's really just a way for cable TV to promote themselves, and they want you to tweet hashtag cable TV as you're like watching the different Marvel movies. So yeah, but we'll see how that goes. I bought a Star Wars Battlefront bundle for $8 today. The bundle came with Battlefront, Battlefront 2, and two DLC packs, which is pretty nice. I learned that there's a character who fights for droid rights in the Star Wars universe. It's the AI that runs the Millennium Falcon. I think that's a really cool idea. I've been really into stories about sentient machines and sentient rights recently, considering advancements in modern technology and also movements in the real world. So, because there are companies like EmoShape that are developing technology to allow you to create your own like sentient characters in video games and sentient machines, there are groups in the real world, like in real life, who are saying that we need to have the law give rights to sentient technology. And there's currently like a debate about whether or not sentient technology and sentient machines should be treated as people in the law and given certain rights. So that's part of what made the whole droid rights and Star Wars thing seem really interesting to me, because I personally don't really care for Star Wars that much, but I really am interested in seeing more stories, and seeing people bring up more discussions about whether or not sentient machines deserve rights. I recently read the entire recent run of Vision, which is all about that. I've read every run of Red Tornado, which talks about like sentient machines and how they fit into society. I really enjoy the movie Tron Legacy, and Tron Legacy goes into the idea of like sentient machines. But that one's interesting because it's sentient machines who are prejudiced against by non sentient machines, which is really odd. um, and it's just a really interesting discussion to have in the real world, but also in fiction. And I feel like there are certain things that we can learn from looking at how we've perceived that discussion in fiction, because I feel like that will help decide how people feel about it in the real world, about whether or not we will give sentient machines rights. But that's pretty much like the bulk of what I've done today. I really wanted to finish the clearance paperwork today, but there was some more information that I didn't know that I needed, that I didn't have, and I'm still getting that information together. So hopefully I'll be able to finish my clearance paperwork today. Fingers crossed on that. I just need to really like put myself into it and make sure that I try to get as much of it done as possible today. Let's see. But yeah, the clearance paperwork I think is the biggest thing right now for me. That, and I need to contact SMAP because now I do have my own car and I have my car available to where I can drive it to the arsenal if they need me to do work on the arsenal. Because I need a job with the government, a full time position with the government, permanent position when I graduate. And it seems like I have like two conditional job offers that will fulfill that. But if the process for entering those jobs is too long, I still could have a scholarship obligation that I have to repay, in which I'd have to repay the money that I've earned from my scholarship instead of it being given to me. It'd be like a loan. Um, and if that were to happen, that would be really bad. That's just a lot of money that I'd have to suddenly have to pay back. So what I'm currently looking for is I'm sure I'll get through the process for my conditional job offers. I don't think it'll be a thing where I somehow don't get through the whole process. I do think it could be a thing where the process is longer than the amount of time I have to get a job. So, what I might need to do is get a full time job with the government and stay in that job until I can get through the full process for my conditional job offer. So, that's my current situation that I'm in, trying to like figure out what I need to do in order to make sure that I don't run out of time. So that's a big issue. I also need to be applying to like more jobs and putting myself out there and making sure that I don't get put in that position. So tomorrow, I need to actually finish my clearance paperwork. I'm pretty close to being done. I need to actually finish my clearance paperwork, and then I also need to apply to more jobs. And I need to contact SMAP and see if I can like start working with SMAP. Those are like a few things that I feel like I just really need to do. I need to make sure that I do them so I don't have to worry about it. Also today, Dueling Nexus won the fan poll, and we played Dueling Nexus for a bit. Matt is upset because I have multiple decks where Utopia the Lightning is my boss monster. He seemed to not be a fan of that. Utopia the Lightning is just pretty good. Not gonna lie. I have multiple decks where I play him. And one of the decks, he wasn't even the boss monster. I just summoned him because it made more sense to summon him than the other boss monster due to the current board state and who I was facing. It was Matt. I was facing Matt. But yeah, Matt also is not a fan of the fact that I keep buying these games on sale. He's like, why buy like Nitro Plus Blasters and Sims 4 and Star Wars Battlefront instead of getting DLC for games that like you already have? And I'm like, Matt, you don't understand. These deals are incredible. Because whenever I see these big games on sale, like the Battlefront bundle pack that I got in Sims 4, I remember how much they cost when they first came out. And I remember having some interest or wanting those games. For Battlefront, it's weird because Star Wars Battlefront I didn't care about when it first came out. When I played a little bit of it at Second and Charles, I was like, oh, this game isn't really that bad. And then over time, I realized, like, you know what? Like, for a cheap enough price, I'd be willing to get it. Your boy Ryan said Jet is dead. Yo, Ryan, welcome to the stream. It's good to have you. How's your day today? Do you have any questions for your boy? And do you have any discussion topics you'd like to talk about on the stream? Also, don't forget to smash that like button. Truly appreciate it. Um, but Sims 4, I remember definitely wanting Sims 4 when it first came out, but it just seemed too expensive for a Sims game. Nitro Plus Blasters, I didn't know anything about until I saw it was on sale, but I was like, Anime Fighter, I play anime fighters, and this is rather inexpensive. So that's what got me to get Nitro Plus Blasters. But I've been really enjoying these new games I've gotten on sale. Ryan, how's your trip going? I've heard you're on your spring break trip. Is that fun? Are you enjoying your trip so far? For you, it's like 1:30 a.m. You're up rather late, I see. I can't blame you. I'm also up pretty late. Let's see. Let me get the live chat up for this. Excuse me, on my computer. Ryan said lame trip. Oh shit. Okay, yo. So why is the trip lame? Like what's wrong, Ryan? What would you have preferred to have done instead of this trip? I don't know why I said oh shit as if it was like shot. It felt like shots fired at somebody. But what about the trip is like lame and what would you have preferred to have done instead? And he's like I would have preferred to have not gone on a trip. Oh, I see. Where did you go? Like, where's the trip to? I'm trying to imagine if I was in your situation, would I be enjoying the trip? Would I be like, oh, this is like a cool trip? Or would I be there with you, like, yo, this is kind of shitty. I would have rather done something else. Um, huh. I haven't thought about it, but now that I have a car, there are certain places I would just like to go that I could just go now if I wanted to. Let's see. Ryan said Charleston, South Carolina. Why? What's in Charleston? Um, and like, what are you guys doing there? Now that I have a car and I just kind of can go somewhere if I want to, I wouldn't mind going to Warner Brothers Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Going to where they like do the animation and stuff for Cartoon Network. That'd be really cool. That's a place that I've always wanted to go, but I want to go in such a way to where I can like have a tour and be like, here's where this is, and here's where we do this, and da na 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 na. I just think the process of like animation is really interesting, um, and I wouldn't mind like taking a tour of their facility. That's like the only place in the U.S. that I've had like a very strong interest in. Like, oh, I would really want to go there. That'd be cool. Um, and Georgia's not that far away. Emo Shape has an office in New York, but I don't think I'd ever like jump in my car and be like, road trip, time to go to New York to go to talk to a group of people I can just email to. But it would be cool to see like Emo Shape headquarters, maybe sit in on like a meeting or whatever, see some of the stuff that they're working on, have a tour of like their facility, since they're pioneering like emotional processing and machines. I just think that'd be really cool just to be able to say that I did. But I still think the Warner Brothers animation thing would definitely be like top of my list. If I was to go anywhere, just for like a tour kind of thing, it would be that. Um, I don't know where I would go for like a relaxing vacation because I feel like if I wanted to relax, I wouldn't go on a trip. You know what I mean? I don't feel like going on a trip is for relaxing. Like I can just relax at home. Going on a trip just involves more stresses. You have to like have gas money. And you gotta make sure that like the car's well maintained. You gotta make sure that you packed everything. And you have a place to stay wherever you showed up. Like trips are just stressful to like plan and orchestrate. Uh, so I know what I do for like a tour traveling somewhere. I don't know what I do for like a relaxation thing. Um, for events, like traveling to an event, um, me and Dad have gone to like Dragon Con every year. I don't know if I'll be going this year because I don't know whether or not I'm gonna get through the clearance process really quickly and then have to move to fulfill like my conditional job offers that I currently have like within like the next month, next 2 months, next like 9 months. Like I don't know how long it's gonna take. Um, so I feel like right now, me and Dad aren't planning to like do Dragon Con, but it would be nice to do Dragon Con again. I always like seeing, uh, and not just seeing, but being able to like ask questions to some of the top minds in like comics, people who are like actively writing comics, and hearing their thoughts and opinions on different things and hearing about new things that they're working on. Some of them do panels where it's like, so you want to get into comics, and they like give advice and tips on like writing and how to get into the industry and how this is the best time to self-publish because it's easier than it's ever been. Um, and I like hearing their stories about how like they got involved in comics and why they're still involved in comics and the drive that it takes to keep going and how much the industry's changing, and what sets them apart from like other writers or what sets their company they work for apart from other companies. Because when I go to Dragon Con, it's like a huge convention that covers like anime and cartoons and movies and short films and cosplay. The convention spans between like multiple large hotels in Atlanta. They have a costume parade that like goes through the streets of the city, and they close multiple streets off for like hundreds and hundreds of costumes to like walk by. And the only thing I care about is the comic book stuff. I go to the comic book like area where like most of those panels are. I spend the whole time just listening to people in the industry talk about the industry and talk about what's going on. I also really like going to panels where there are people who essentially have written like essays, and you know how people do video essays on YouTube and they'll talk about like the symbolism of this or how does this comic book thing relate to this real life thing. Um, like we watch videos like that all the time, whether it be like I was about to give examples, but I actually feel like most of the video essay stuff that I watch isn't as deep, I guess, as the stuff at Dragon Con. The stuff at Dragon Con will be like, how does Black Panther relate to like racism and political intrigue and stuff like that? And I don't think those are the kind of video essays that I watch, but I find them interesting as like panels. Like, because the panels are really different. It's an essay, but you don't read the essay. It's essentially someone going over their essay and then having an open Q&A where they can like talk with the panel, and it's like multiple scholars from a university where their whole thing is they study pop culture in relation to like actual society, and it's just kind of dope. Ryan said, "Hi there, I have a question for you. To call me back from a quick lunch, I would need you to be able to because I'm busy." So Ryan, do you need me to call you? And when? You said from a quick lunch. Do you have a time where you want me to call you? Because tomorrow my only things planned are, I believe my only things planned are, to finish up the clearance paperwork, apply for like more jobs, and contact SMAP. And then Ryan said, for you, I am not going into that the way you have. I have had you seen my phone. For you, I am not going into that the way you I have had you seen my phone. Ryan, I don't understand that last message. I feel like there are words in it that you didn't mean to add, so I'm trying to mentally decode it. I am not going into that. You have seen my phone? Is that what you meant to say? They just feel like there are extra words in that. So Ryan, I am lost on the meaning. I just don't know what you actually meant. Let's see. But I really like going to Dragon Con and talking with panelists who are like different scholars from like different universities. Uh, and the Black Panther thing I made up. Like that's not like a real panel that I went to. I did go to something similar. It was like Black Panther and like black culture, and it was a whole bunch of scholars from predominantly like African American universities, and we were talking about the impact that Black Panther has had on like black people in the black community. And one of the people on the panel was like straight up like someone who writes like Black Panther comics. Like they're directly involved with like Black Panther's like mythos. And then the others were university students who either were really in love with the Black Panther movie or really in love with Black Panther's comics. And there was one guy that I really resonated with, and he vibed with Black Panther, like his history and his character in the world that he existed in from like an encyclopedic view, but he didn't actually vibe with the comics. He was like, he was a great character. There's so many cool things about him, but the way that he's executed in the comics, it just doesn't vibe with him. He likes him as a character, and he enjoys absorbing the information like in more of an encyclopedic format. Because I could really relate to that. I'm like same, most def. Let's see. Ryan said the most people who have had their way of making things worse than my parents' house. The most people who have had their way of making things worse than my parents' house. Yeah, I'm losing you, Ryan. I don't know what's happening. Then Ryan said Black Panther 7 out of 10. I gave Black Panther a 7 out of 10. So if that's your score, that is also my score. Because I feel like we're vibing. Because I didn't think Black Panther was that good of a movie, and I'm not a big fan of Black Panther comics. But I bought a Black Panther encyclopedia and I read it from cover to cover. I read that whole book. For one, I really like superhero encyclopedias, and two, I definitely see what makes Black Panther like a cool character and what makes him interesting. I feel like he's been on a lot of interesting adventures, and that he has like cool powers and gadgets and a supporting cast and villains. But I just feel like the execution doesn't like get me. I think that's part of the reason why I like encyclopedias and guidebooks so much is because your imagination can go, oh, I could see him doing this and doing that, and then the writers who actually write the books just don't. They don't go that same route, and they just don't use them to what you personally might feel is their true potential. So I definitely resonated with that guy on the panel because same deal. He was like reading Wikipedia to learn more about Black Panther. I like bought like the DK book, which was like the big thick guidebooks, like hardcover book. I was flipping through, but it's essentially the same difference. Ryan said he never finished watching Black Panther, so he's like question mark out of 10. I think I liked Aquaman more than I like Black Panther, if I'm being honest. My brother Marquez, he would not agree with that at all. Marquez is a huge Black Panther fan. He really likes Black Panther comics. He gave me like multiple graphic novels, like thick graphic novels going over a whole run of Black Panther's history. I just couldn't get into it. I just wasn't a big fan of it. But he really likes the Black Panther comics and he likes the Black Panther movie. I think the Black Panther movie was like okay at best. And then Black Panther comics, I really like Agent Ross. He's like the comedy relief character. But I didn't really get into the Black Panther comics that much past Agent Ross. And I think when I started getting into stories where Agent Ross wasn't the focus, I wasn't as interested. And then the encyclopedia that went over Black Panther's entire history in comics up to like maybe last year, I loved it. It was just really good. Wonder Woman is a character that I didn't care much about. And then I read her encyclopedia cover to cover the same day I got it. Wonder Woman is a very interesting character. I actually do really fuck with Wonder Woman, but again, on that like encyclopedic level, where it's like there isn't a Wonder Woman movie that I really fuck with. There isn't like a Wonder Woman cartoon that I really fuck with. Um, but her as a character and her supporting cast and her villains and the adventures that she's been on encapsulated in like a easy to digest like encyclopedia that goes in depth on everything, that's cool. Like I definitely see the value. I just feel like it hasn't been done in such a way to make me go like I think this is cool. I had to get the information collected for me to be like this is ballin', not from individual stories that I've read or interpretations that I've seen. And Black Panther and Wonder Woman, I think, are two very solid examples of that. I think it's interesting when there's a character that I really like, and for whatever reason, I can't get through their encyclopedia. Like, I like Spider Man, and I'm very close to finishing Spider Man's encyclopedia, but for whatever reason, I just stopped reading it. It just wasn't that interesting. Whereas Wonder Woman, a character I didn't care for, I read her whole encyclopedia the same day I got it. Um, I have a Avengers encyclopedia, and I think I've only read like the first 40 to 60 pages. Like it didn't hold my attention. Where these other books, like I say, I like go through them because I'm like really enjoying the content. For that one, I just was like, nah, that ain't me. Because I'm just not really that into Marvel. Now I do like Sentry. Sentry is my favorite Marvel character. And Spider Man's cool. I'll read Spider Man books and events as they come out. I think those are dope. But I don't read all of Spider Man. I've read every run of Sentry that exists. I really like Sentry. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. My dad really likes Star Wars comics and Walking Dead. Let's see. Ryan said Spider Man into the Spiderpedia. I think in terms of like Into the Spider Verse, I'd be interested in seeing a Spider Man Into the Spider Verse sequel. Ryan, I have two questions. Well, I guess three. One, did you see Spider Man Into the Spider Verse? Two, what were your thoughts on Spider Man Into the Spider Verse? And three, do you think they should make a sequel to Spider Man Into the Spider Verse? So those are my three Spider Verse based questions. Another question I would have for Ryan would be, are there any characters in fiction that you think are like really cool because you read like an article about them, or you like looked them up on Wikipedia, or you like read a TV tropes page about them, but you don't find the actual media that they're in particularly interesting? Like maybe they're like a TV show character, or they're like in a movie series or something like that, and for every reason, whenever you watch that, you're like, I'm not really into that. But you read about them and you're like, they're really cool. So Ryan said yes, yes, and yes. So you did see Spider Verse. When I asked you what did you think of Spider Verse, you said yes. I don't know what that means. And then you said and yes to you think they should do a Spider Verse sequel. So the next question I asked was about whether or not there were any characters in fiction where you've read about them, uh, like more academically, like an encyclopedia article, a Wikipedia article, a TV tropes article, just an article about them, etc. And you think the characters are really cool, but you don't think their source material is that cool or that interesting. Be, just as a question, because I've mentioned a couple characters like that where I'm like, Wonder Woman and Black Panther are cool. When I read their encyclopedias, when I read their actual comics, I'm not really that interested. Um, and then the next question I was going to ask you, is for a Spider Verse sequel. What do you think they should do? Um, I have like a couple different ideas for like if they asked me like Jet, like what do you think we should do for a sequel to Into the Spider Verse? One thing I think would be interesting is the original Spider Verse comic had to do with like these interdimensional vampires who feed off of spider totems. Essentially, they feed off of like Spider-Man in order to survive, and they're now traveling from universe to universe hunting down and killing Spider-Man. So all the Spider-Men have to team up together in order to fight back and like save themselves. That was like the original Spider-Verse story. And for Into the Spider-Verse, they didn't do that. But by not doing it for the first movie, they could essentially do it for the second. So I think that would be cool. Also, Web Warriors would be nice. Web Warriors was a comic that was short lived, that was a team of Spider-Men from across the multiverse who travel between universes, like fighting villains and helping save the day in other universes. Um, so I think a Spider Verse movie where they hop from world to world fighting bad guys would be really cool. So I'd love it if Spider Verse 2 was like Spider Verse Web Warriors or something like that. I think that'd be really dope. Or they could do like the Morlun spider interdimensional vampire thing if they wanted to, as another reason for them to all get together. Let's see. Ryan said they should make a good movie. Yep. I see Ryan's coming up with these minimalist answers, but fair. Let's see. What was I thinking about? I haven't edited the description yet of today's vlog video. Boom, 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 boom. Normally, I would have already edited the tags and description, but that's okay. I don't think anybody's holding me accountable for that except myself. Boom, 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 boom. I'm thinking about playing some more Battlefront once I finish the vlog stream. So far, I'm enjoying the game. Speaking of enjoying the game, Ryan, what are your thoughts on the Battlefront game from watching it? Do you feel like it's entertaining to watch? Um, yes or no? And then, if yes, why is it entertaining to watch? And if no, why is it not entertaining to watch? I mean, really, I could have said, are the Battlefront streams entertaining to watch? Yes or no, and why? That actually is like a better way to summarize that phrase. It's not a phrase. Better way to summarize that question. Waiting on Ryan. His response. Also, Ryan, what were you saying about lunch earlier? I can't tell if Ryan sometimes is doing the typing random stuff meme or not. Sometimes it's more noticeable, and other times it's just not. Ryan said turbo lasers are bad at shooting down starfighters. That is true. That is very true. I essentially have to wait for a TIE fighter to start shooting at me before I can actually shoot it with a turbo laser. That is just facts. Let's see. So I've almost gotten everything set up. Oh, Ryan, would you take this job? This is a real job that CableTV.com is trying to find someone to fulfill. Would you binge watch all of the Marvel movies for 2 days straight, no breaks, and tweet the whole time for $1,000 and a series of Marvel Cinematic Universe themed prizes? So you get both. Like, do you think that'd be something you'd be interested in? Excuse me. Ryan said, lunchtime, I will have a sandwich. Was in your lunch today? I have a question to ask y'all about it, all right? So I think that is Ryan using the random text autofill. In case people want to learn how to do that themselves, what you do is first, you get in the live chat on your phone. Two, you type in maybe like one or two words, like honestly, and then three, you just let autofill like just do the rest. You just go ham. And then your boy Ryan said slow typer. Oh yeah, but Ryan, would you do the tweet the whole time, binge watch all the Marvel movies for $1,000 in Marvel prizes job? Because that's like a real thing that you can apply for. You have to apply before like April 15th, and whoever gets the job has to binge watch all the movies, um, and they get paid $1,000 and get a bunch of prizes. I feel like I'd be willing to do it if I could have the 2 days be weekend days, and also if I could get like friends to maybe watch some of the movies with me. And you have to binge watch them in order too, so you can't like skip around. Let's see. There's Ryan posting more of the random stuff I see. Also, we already got limited to no ads. I never understand it when it happens on a live stream. What has already happened that made them go, this can't be monetized? Because I don't think we've said anything that crazy. Right now, I'm going to look at the channel analytics right now. So we're at 1,090 subscribers. We're at a tens place, which makes me think that that number is going to fluctuate heavily very soon. Every time we hit a tens place in subscribers, I never trust the number. I really don't. So 1,090, I think tomorrow will be like 1,087, and then it'll fluctuate for a few days before it actually starts going up at a steady pace without like falling back down. Um, in the last 28 days, you guys have watched 32,200 minutes. I appreciate it. We've also gotten 10,245 views in the last 28 days. Nice. We've gained 50 subscribers, which means about a month ago we were only at 1,040, so I appreciate that. And in the last 28 days, I've made $5.15, which isn't bad considering the fact that, like, it's just through ads. Like, I'm making the money through you guys just watching the content and there being ads on it. Ryan said, I heard some gamers are mad about a CEO saying fuck white supremacy. That seems weird. Why would the gamers be mad about the CEO saying fuck white supremacy? That doesn't seem like something I'd be upset about unless I was a white supremacist. Like, I don't. Like, what about them saying fuck white supremacy is a bad thing? I guess I can't comment on it too much because A, I don't know who the CEO is. B, I don't know what the CEO said. Like, I don't have like a direct quote of what they said. And C, I don't have the context of which the CEO said it. Or D, well, and D, I don't know in what platform the CEO made that statement. So really, I can't comment on it. I don't really understand the scenario of which all that took place, so I don't have anything insightful to say about it. So yeah, that's my response to that. Do 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 do. Boo. I mean, that's just how it is. Yo, Ryan. Ryan said, Google it. Hey Ryan, what are your thoughts on Google Stadia, which is Google's brand new? Is it Stadia or Stadia? I think it's Google Stadia. What are your thoughts on Google Stadia, which is the new Google video game streaming platform where you can play like some of the greatest technical video games. Technical is in like highest level graphics and a modern day made by a AAA studio kind of video game on like a laptop, a phone, computer, or TV. And it doesn't have to be like a high quality machine because you're streaming it, and Google is providing like the technological back end. So you can do stuff like on a really shitty computer, stream Assassin's Creed Origins, and it look better than it would like on an Xbox or on like a PS4 because you're using Google hardware remotely, like through the cloud. So they're rendering your game using like multiple GPUs, so your game just looks really nice, uh, and you're able to like at any point stop playing the game on your TV, start playing it on your laptop, or start playing it on your phone, and you can use any controller that's already USB based. Like you can be like, oh, I already have like a PlayStation 4 controller and just play it with the Google Stadia and it's fine. And it's not like a console, so it's not like you buy any new hardware. Um, it's just a service. We don't know if it's subscription based. We don't know if it's you join a membership and then you buy games on that platform. We don't know how it's going to work. But it seems really interesting. Google also has made their own controllers for it. Not this, but they've made their own controllers for it. And what's cool about the controller is it has a share button to where you can share your content on YouTube directly with the hit of a button. It also has a Google Assistant button where you can ask the Google Assistant to help you in the game and then it can like help you out. It also has it where if you're watching someone play a game on YouTube and you have Google Stadia, you can like click a button next to that stream and immediately start playing it like on your phone or on your TV. And you can also set it up to where you enter a queue and you can play alongside a streamer. So let's say I have Star Wars Battlefront on Google Stadia, and you have Google Stadia, and you're like, oh, he's playing Battlefront. I want to play it with him. Then you could hit a button on my stream, and it puts you in a queue for you to enter an online multiplayer match like with me, and then we can play together. Like that's some of the cool stuff that Google Stadia is claiming that it'll be able to do, and it says that's going to come out later this year. So Ryan, with all that information, and there's plenty more to go along with that. There's a very abbreviated look at Google Stadia. What are your thoughts on Google Stadia? Is that something that you'd personally be into? Do you think that's like where the future of gaming is going, or do you feel like streaming games is a little too far off in the future? We're not really there yet. Do you think people are still going to want physical games and Google Stadia is not going to catch on? A lot of people are saying Google Stadia is probably going to die out. Like they're going to announce it sometime this year, and then like a year later, nobody's going to know what it is. Or it could like really take off, and it could be the big thing they're claiming it to be. Let's see. And then your boy Ryan said Google didn't find out on stream in regards to the CEO thing he mentioned earlier. And then he said never heard of it. Then he said why ass Origins? Um, I don't know why they used Assassin's Creed Origins in their like demo when talking about Google Stadia and showing off Google Stadia. Because I do think Assassin's Creed Origins is just a weird game to like point out. I guess they wanted to use Origins because they know it's a game that people are like graphically it's like really up there as one of those like new AAA games, but it's not an exclusive because they couldn't do something like Breath of the Wild. Like Google Stadia is not going to have exclusive games that are like made for Nintendo, so they couldn't do like Breath of the Wild. Um, they couldn't do God of War, which was the big game of the year for like PS4. Like that's not going to work because that's also an exclusive. I think Spider Man for PS4 was an exclusive too. Like most of the other games that people are really hyped for that are like really graphically intensive and really like wow, oh my gosh, are exclusives. So they used Assassin's Creed Origins, I think, because it wasn't exclusive and it showed like top tier recent graphics being played on like a phone and like on a laptop and stuff like that. I think it's really interesting. Ryan said, sounds Google. And he said, Google has never finished a game of cards for years, but it has a good variety of different flavors. Your autofill was very interesting on that one. You got me, Ryan. But you want me to look up this CEO white supremacy thing that I don't really care about? I'm fine with that. So let me look into that. Do 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 do. CEO game. That's all I'm gonna Google. Epic CEO quote: "You're going to see lower prices on Epic Game Store." Epic Games CEO says Apex Legends hasn't made a dent in Fortnite. Epic Games CEO isn't worried about Apex Legends overtaking Fortnite. Okay, so I still don't see what you're talking about. I typed in CEO game. Do 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 do. What was the game CEO? Like, who was it who said the fuck white supremacy thing? Did you make that up, Ryan? Like, is that just not a real thing? I feel like just typing in game CEO would be enough for that to come up. I'm gonna type in CEO game controversy. Let's see. Tim Sweeney, the Epic Game Store doesn't spy on people. Oh, well, that sounds weird. Um, the Daily Beast has an article, Rape Day, a game where you play as a dangerous rapist. I don't know why I did the baby lisp thing. Rape Day, game where you play as a dangerous rapist, pulled. So I imagine that got removed from something. Probably got removed from Steam. Also, what the fuck? That's almost as demented as Hatred, if not more demented. Hatred's a pretty bad game too. That's those are two very controversial games. Let's see. So I'm still trying to find the game CEO controversy that you're referring to. Where did you learn about it, Ryan? Or did you make it up? Am I searching something that you autofilled? Do 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 do. Game CEO. GameStop names retail veteran to become its new CEO. Don't care. House Party elevates its chief operating officer to CEO. Don't care. Fortnite hits 250 million players and an unprecedented number of don't care. How Google's video game streaming platform could be the Netflix of gaming. I do find that interesting. AMD CEO was at Google streaming video game unveiling and it just cut off. I can't tell whether or not that headline would have been interesting or not. Dr. James Fielding, CEO of Audaria, talks hearing and gaming. Hearing and gaming? That sounds interesting only because I don't know what it means. Fortune said Super League Gaming CEO on leading the first public esports. Dot dot dot. That also could have been interesting. I still don't see what you're talking about, Ryan. Like whatever it was, I feel like it should have popped off more in the news if it's as big of a deal as what you're saying it is. But I see no headlines for it. What happens if I just type in gaming and then look at news? Let's see. Research report shows how much time we spend gaming. Tencent looks for life beyond gaming. It's ironic, but gaming can be an escape from our hyper-connected lives. I see what they're saying on that. Data sheet, why every big tech company wants its own cloud gaming. Duh. I don't even think you need to make an article on that. Are there people who were confused at the idea of a video game streaming platform and why that would be viable? Um, just look at Netflix. It's legitimately a just look at Netflix thing. Netflix made streaming movies something that you could like do very easily and became like the first big name in streaming movies. And as like an early entrant, they have dominated the market. Their brand name and presence is so thick that we associate streaming movies with Netflix on like a very heavy level. The term Netflix and chill isn't just cute. It shows how domineering Netflix is because you're not saying like Hulu and chill. You know what I mean? Like that sounds very watered down, I guess. Watered down still isn't a very good term for it, but whoever is the first to pioneer game streaming as something that's open to everyone and easy to use and as like a positive experience will be the Netflix of game streaming. And that's part of what makes it so viable and why so many people are after it and why a big company like Google would like try and put their stamp on it and like get out there. But of course, this isn't the first time that someone's tried to make a streaming video game platform. PlayStation has one already. It's called PlayStation Now. I don't use it personally. I think what makes me excited about Google Stadia personally is that it allows for you to share your gaming content on YouTube, but in a way that's built into YouTube. And also, this is really interesting. the way that they stream your game content is different from the way they stream your game to you. So instead of it being one connection where you're streaming the game, as in like it's being streamed to your computer to like play it, and then you're streaming the game to YouTube on that same internet connection, it has two distinct connections to where you streaming it to YouTube is different from Google streaming the game to you, so that you can stream the game at its highest quality on your computer as well as to the viewer watching you play the game. I think that's cool. Um, but I just feel like Google Stadia's like new system is going to be the best system for streaming video games on YouTube because it seems to be made from the ground up for you to stream video games on YouTube. It's made with that in mind. Apparently Matt Pat talked about it. He like got on stage and he talked about Google Stadia. But I haven't actually seen the part where Matt Pat talks about it. Every summary video I've seen skips over the part where Matt Pat talks about Google Stadia. Kevin said, "What I missed? Oh, the new Google system? Yeah, so that's what we're currently talking about. We've jumped around on a lot of different topics so far, but what I'm currently talking about is Google Stadia, the new Google system. Is it Stadia? I keep saying Stadia. Am I dropping a T? I think I'm dropping a T. Google Stadia? Let me look that up. Stadia. Stadia. It's Stadia. I don't know why I haven't had the T in it. I just wasn't putting the T in it. Anyways, yeah, I was talking about why I'm interested in Google Stadia. So Google Stadia is Google's new video game streaming thing. And then Kevin said streaming, I meant. Oh, no problem. It's Google's new video game streaming thing that will allow you to stream brand new high quality games on like a broken down PC or on your laptop or on your phone or on your TV, and you can easily switch between each one and use the same controller for each one, any USB enabled controller or your mouse and keyboard. And I think that's really cool. They have their own controller that they made for it, and their special controller makes it easier for you to share your video game experiences on YouTube by sending like your video, like a game clip, directly to YouTube with a click of a button. Excuse me. As well as allowing you to stream to YouTube with a click of a button on the controller. You can already do that on the PS4, but the difference is that Google Stadia is made by Google, the people who own YouTube, and it's made with that in mind. Kevin said, interesting. Thank you. I'm glad that you're interested in it. I am interested in it as well. There are a lot of questions that are still like really big deals about the Google Stadia. For one, it's coming out later this year, but we don't have a price point. We have no idea how much it will cost, and we don't know if Google Stadia is a streaming service like Netflix, where you pay so much a month and you get access to like a big library of games, or if Google Stadia is more of like a buying a game platform like Steam, where you have to go in to their marketplace and purchase the game that you want to play, and then once you've bought it, you can play that game as much as you want, like you could on any other system. Um, we don't know if it's a service where it's a one-time fee. You pay one-time fee to get in, then you buy games to play them. Um, that they could go in a lot of different ways, and it's hard to tell what way they're going to go about it. It seems like they have a lot of cool ideas. It seems like they've made the platform with streaming in mind for like people who like to share their video game experiences on YouTube. Emphasis on YouTube. I feel like that's really important. Um, I feel like that makes me more interested in it. I bought my PS4 because I wanted the best gaming console out there for streaming on YouTube. And I feel like PS4 is currently the console that makes it the easiest to stream on YouTube. Essentially, the Google Stadia stepping in and going, what if I told you that there's a console that makes it even easier to stream on YouTube? Like, imagine this. When Jump Force first came out, I had already pre-ordered Jump Force on my PS4. Midnight hits. My PS4 is downloading and installing the files for Jump Force. Jump Force is finally installed. I have to load it up on my PS4. Then I have to hit the share button. set up a stream, and then I'm able to stream Jump Force. That doesn't seem that bad. That's pretty easy. On the Google Stadia, you never have to download or install anything because you're streaming. You can jump directly into the game because there's nothing that you have to download or install on whatever you're using. So on Google Stadia, if I wanted to play Jump Force, midnight would hit, Jump Force would be available to play. I am already on my laptop. I just like open like the Google Stadia app or whatever the interface is like, select Jump Force. It immediately starts up. I hit the share button. I'm immediately streaming. It's just much easier. It's made specifically for that. And one thing that's cool is that for the Google Stadia, let's say you tune in to me streaming Jump Force and you're like, oh, that looks really cool. There will be a button where if you hit that button, you get put into a queue where you can like play Jump Force with me on your computer, like with Google Stadia. And each person who jumps in and hits that button is put in like a list where you gotta wait for the person before you to finish playing. But it allows for streamers to more easily be able to play with their fans and to like share and enjoy the content together. And I just really like that. Kevin said, so do you think in maybe like EA system, you pay a monthly price and you can play many games as you want and stream them? Or a different altogether where you have to buy each game to stream? I'm not sure. And I feel like the way that they set up this price will determine whether or not I'm in. I think the worst thing they could do is stack too many things. Because some people are thinking it's going to have ads. Like some people are going to think that there's a standard version of Google Stadia that's free, but it has advertisements, and another version that's like Google Stadia Premium, where it's ad free, but you pay like a monthly subscription service. For one, I think there's no way that Google Stadia will be free but with ads. I think that's really dumb. I couldn't imagine that, in like all honesty. So I don't think we're gonna get that. I don't think they're gonna put ads on it. And if they do put ads on it, I think that's a huge mistake for games. For games, what are you doing? So I don't think they're gonna put ads on Google Stadia. I'd be very disappointed if they did. Um, if it was pay per game, I think that would be fine. To be honest, I'm perfectly fine with Google Stadia being like, yeah, you can play any game you want, but you have to like buy that game. That's fine. Um, and I'd be fine with it being a subscription service. So I'd be fine with them being like, you pay so much money a month, you can play any of the games in our library. That's cool too. I'm not okay with them having a subscription service and you buy the game. I wouldn't want it to be like, yeah, you spend $10 a month, you can play any of the games that you've bought. I'd be like, what? You gotta buy the games and there's a subscription fee? I think that would be a little too far. I wouldn't want to do that. Um, I would be fine with them having you pay an initial amount of money. Like maybe to play Google Stadia, you have to drop like $200. But once you did that, you would not have to pay um, like any more money other than to buy games. I think that would be fine because you already drop a lot of money when you get a console initially. That it would be like the same kind of thing, and it would help them to like cover their cost to like give you like a little entry fee. So if they were like in the same way that you would like buy a console, you essentially have to like buy into Google Stadia, and then afterwards, just like what you normally have to do, you have to like buy games. That's decent. I don't think that would be that weird. Let's see. Your boy Ryan posted up a Twitter post, and then Kevin said, I agree, having both would be too much. One or the other, not both. Yeah. So Ryan posted up a Twitter post. Tim Schafer. Okay, so Double Fine Studios. Also, Ryan, why couldn't you just say that before? Excuse me. So Tim Schafer is actually like a pretty interesting guy. He's the guy who's all over Psychonauts, which is one of my like favorite video games. This Tim Schafer, the CEO of Double Fine, here's a quote. He'd say, "I'd like to say something that I hope is not controversial," and then he said, "Fuck white supremacists." And then he said again, "Subscribe to my channel for tomorrow's vid." Oh wait, where did that person end the quote? because I don't understand where that quote ends for that like Twitter post. But I'm going to listen to what Tim Schafer actually said so that I don't have to rely on reading a quote. Let's see. Ryan posted up a T, just a capital T. I don't know what that was about. Also, when was this posted? How old is this tweet? So this is from March 20th at 8:44 p.m. March 20th at 8:44 p.m. Today is March 22nd. This is so not news. It seemed like nobody cared about this because when I typed in game CEO on like Google News, this didn't come up. I'm going to type in Tim Schafer. Uh, let's see. When I type in Tim Schafer on Google News, I'm not really seeing any controversial things come up. Your boy Budden said, I Tanic? It Tanic? I don't really understand what you're saying. Real quick, I'm going to watch this quick Tim Schafer clip. Is there no sound to the clip, Ryan? Ryan sent me, oh, here we go. Twitter's automatically muted. Okay. Oh, Budden said it finished the T. Titanic. I see. So let me see. I'm listening in. Okay. 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 So I just heard what Tim Schafer said. Um, Button said, eventually you'll get how I am. Okay, no problem, Button. So Ryan brought up to me, for anyone who's just now tuning in, Ryan brought up that there are some people who are mad because there's a gaming CEO who said, fuck white supremacists. And that's all Ryan said. So Ryan then sends me this tweet, and it's Tim Schafer, the CEO of Double Fine Productions, who makes Psychonauts, which is a game that I really like. And the quote is, I'd like to say something that I hope is not controversial. Fuck white supremacists. But if you look at it in context of the video, he's at like the gaming awards ceremony or whatever, the GDAC or whatever. I'm not sure if I actually just pronounced that right. It's not pronounced, but the way the letters were set up was in a non-linear fashion, so I can't actually say whether or not that's the name of the thing. But it was a gaming award show or whatever, and at the gaming award show, he gave a shout out to one of his coworkers who's Muslim, and then he's talked about how like everyone's welcome. You know, it's a gaming award ceremony. He's like, in case you like didn't know, you're welcome. Like, shout out to like all the Muslim people or whatever. And then he said, I hope. I like to say something that I hope is not controversial. And then he said, fuck white supremacists. And then he followed it by saying, I don't like the idea of people who are like racist and people who are like intolerant of like other people and other types of people feeling safe within like the world of video games. And he almost says something along the lines of, um, I don't want them to think that we're okay with that shit. It's like something like that, but he changes it from shit to crap. You hear him like prepare the and then he changes it to crap or whatever. But I don't think there's anything wrong with what he said. Like essentially all he's saying is that the world of video games has a bad rap, and there are people who think that those who are like in to video games are like negative people or are like intolerant people, and that's something that's promoted by the community, that gamers and game developers are like, yeah, we're not into like people of like different ethnicities or whatever. And he's like, that's just not true. He like on a public forum was just trying to set the record straight that like as like a game developer and talking to a community of gamers and game developers like at this award ceremony, they're like, hey, like it's not cool, and us within the community do not support that kind of thing, like being intolerant of other people and their beliefs and their races. We believe in like everyone being like treated well and being treated equally, and that we're not gonna like stand for that being a part of our community. So I feel like within the context of the situation and of the speech, Tim Schafer just said how he felt. And I feel like the message that he said wasn't that controversial, to be honest. It wasn't controversial at all. But it's interesting because the post that Ryan like sent, the Twitter post, if you read it out, it says Tim Schafer, CEO of Double Fine Productions, and it has his quote where he'd say, "I like to say something that I hope is not controversial. Fuck white supremacists." Then it goes dot dot dot, and it says, "Again, subscribe to my channel for tomorrow's vid. Imagine being this sweaty and moronic." Now, what? Why does he feel like Tim Schafer is being sweaty and moronic? What about the quartering? At the quartering on Twitter. What about at the quartering? Uh, Makes him think that Tim Schafer's being a moron by saying that like the gaming community does not stand for like intolerant people. Like we're not supporting intolerant people, and we want to make sure that people are aware that the gaming community is not behind that. I don't know what at the quartering's problem is, but I want to read the comments. I want to like see more of what the comment section is about. Let's see. So where are we at? Uh, because I want to know where I am in the live chat. Button Newt said, eventually you'll get how I am. And then Ryan said, a newt. And then Button said, yes, I'm a newt. Then Kevin said, newt. And then and then Button said, an amphibian. And then Kevin said, oh. Then Button said, Xbox for life. Then Ryan said, maybe no one was mad. And then Button said, Anthem equals fall. It seems like the guy who made that post was mad, Ryan, at the quartering. Because he said, imagine being this sweaty and moronic. Like, he seems to not fuck with what Tim Schafer said. And I think that's kind of weird. I don't Like, him calling him moronic, I thought was odd. Is there any way to see what other people's comments were on the post? Because it has like a little word balloon and it says 549. I'm not on Twitter. I don't tweet. Oh, you just scroll down. You just scroll down. So Otis Ott posted a pic of like a cat standing up looking tough, and it's like gonna cry, gonna piss your pants maybe, and it's like a kitten like flexing or whatever. And then Geek Out Nation replied and said, this bothering you is the bigger story. Yeah, I think it's weird that it bothered at the quartering. Oh, by the way, Button, what did you mean when you said Anthem equals fall? Are you like Anthem like is that I don't honestly know what you're trying to say when you say that. Anthem equals fall. Super Saiyan Egg Boy replied to the quartering. And he said, remember when you said you were going to delete your account? Are you still upset that you can't yell at Ben and Jerry's YouTube channel? What? The fuck? Uh, I'm a Rye Boy replied to at the quartering and said, God bless Tim Schafer. Let's see. This one guy whose name is a bunch of symbols, it's like heart, music sign, exclamation point, question mark. He replied to at the quartering and he said, Bear, I do not understand the growl here. What about this angers you genuinely? And I am really curious to hear the quartering's response. What about him? Like, why is he upset about this? At the quartering responded. He said, the fact that the dude is blowing himself for something everyone already knows, it's about him and nothing else. I don't think that's true. I feel like that's a really weird way for at the quartering to like take it. Like, why does at the quartering think that Tim Schafer is trying to inflate his own self worth by him saying that the gaming community doesn't stand for intolerance? I just think the quartering's being butthurt for like no reason. And then Budden said Anthem equals FA, the letter IL. Oh, fail. I'm sorry. It was me looking at the I next to the L and thinking they were just two L's. Yeah, I've heard that Anthem is not worth the hype. I heard a lot of people were excited for it, and then when Anthem actually came out, they were like, it's worse Destiny with jetpacks. I've heard the flying is really cool, but outside of that, that like the open world, well, the not the open world, but the little hub world that you go around seems kind of lifeless, and that for whatever reason the game just isn't as good as people thought it would be. A similar thing came from what was I thinking about? Fallout 76. There was a ton of hype over Fallout 76, and then when Fallout 76 actually dropped, it died out considerably, and was replaced with outrage over like how barren that world was and how little there was to actually do, and how it was like one of the worst Fallout games. And then Budden said the environment is dead. I have heard that. Yeah, I've heard Anthem is just not very good at all. Um, so yeah. Uh, well, let's see. We have hit like an hour within like the vlog stream. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end the vlog stream for now, but I'm going to start up a Battlefront stream. I'm gonna play a little bit more Battlefront. Button said Evolve did it right until they killed it. Rip, rip Evolve. Um, I've heard interesting things about Evolve. I had a friend back in high school who was like really into that game. But yo, stay tuned because I'm about to start up a Battlefront stream. If you like this video, make sure to smash that like button, favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding ding ding, ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we do these live streams. This is your friend, your boy, jetblack the one and only, logging out, and stay tuned because I got a Battlefront stream coming up right after this. Peace. I'll see you guys.